Welcome to Fangirl Football. I'm Judy.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Lauren.
Welcome to today's episode. We've got all the insights you need on the top waiver wire pickups to strengthen your roster. Let's dive into the moves that can help you win your week. For our newer fantasy players, the waiver wire doesn't have to be a mysterious or confusing thing. There are a couple of reasons to use it that come down to existing performance and risk. If your team isn't performing as you expect, use the injuries and more recent news to your advantage and pick up one of these players. If things change and they don't quite perform as you expect, or you don't hit the numbers you're looking for, bench them or pick up someone else the next week. We have one more week before teams start having bye weeks. Week 5, we'll see the Lions, Chargers, Eagles, and Titans on break. So it's also time to start planning. So who should you focus on this week?
Yeah, Lauren, we're going to start with some quarterbacks that we've got on our list that might be good options to pick up if you maybe had Tua or another quarterback that's been injured. So we're going to start with Geno Smith, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. He had a win over the weekend over the Miami Dolphins, 24-3. He's owned in about 43% of Yahoo leagues and 28% of ESPN leagues. And he's currently ranking quarterback 9. So if you're finding your quarterback just isn't cutting it for you and getting the job done, Geno Smith might be a good option. He has a higher completion rate for the first 3 games than all the quarterbacks above him, but he did throw 2 interceptions in the most recent game. Next week, he's facing Detroit, and it should be a high-scoring game, or we're anticipating a high-scoring game, and that Geno Smith is going to need to throw a lot of those passes. We also have Andy Dalton on our quarterback list, and he is with the Carolina Panthers. He also won over the weekend over the Raiders, and getting the Panthers their first win of the season, 36-22. And he's only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues and 1% of ESPN leagues. I guess some people were planning really, really far ahead, or they needed somebody last week and they thought he was going to have the game that he did. So good for them for foreseeing that. Sunday, he threw 3 touchdowns, didn't have any interceptions, 319 yards and a 70% completion rating. Next week, he's facing the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's at home. So I like that, and I like streaming Andy Dalton if you're in need of a quarterback.
Who do you like more to pick up off the wire, Geno or Dalton?
I'm pretty glad I don't have to pick, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Andy Dalton, I think. I think the Bengals defense is probably a little less scary than the Lions defense.
Yeah, we saw how they shut down Arizona this past week. Detroit shut down Arizona this past week, and then they're heavy on the passing side. So I could see Dalton being a little less risky this next weekend.
Maybe. Do you know if Geno's at home? They were just at home, so he's probably in Detroit. Yeah. So I'd take the home quarterback over the road quarterback for this week. But, going forward, long term, I probably like Geno Smith in the coming weeks over Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, I'm always holding my breath, waiting for him to mess up or get injured. But as long as you're just looking for a fill-in for a week or two, they're both good options.
Any suggestions on the running back side?
Yeah, so the running backs, I actually really like a couple of these guys. So Bucky Irving, Tampa Bay Bucks running back. He's their rookie running back. They lost to Denver over the weekend, and it was at home. They looked really just out of gas or something there. But Bucky Irving actually had a pretty good day. It was the bright spot for the Bucks. And he's only rostered in about 35% of leagues. Over the weekend, he had 9 carries and 70 yards, 3 catches for 14 yards. So he's involved on both sides of the ball for the Buccaneers. And while Rashid White is Tampa's preferred running back in passing situations, the head coach indicated that the gap in snap counts between White and Irving will be shrinking. And I think we've seen that every week so far this season. Tampa faces the Eagles next weekend at home. The Eagles actually looked pretty good against Kamara, shutting him down over the weekend. But I still feel like Bucky Irving is very explosive, and he has some great running plays that we just don't get out of White, and they are really starting to use him more and more, and I love watching him run. So I like Bucky Irving. I also like Braelon Allen with the New York Jets. He, again, is a rookie, so we've got 2 rookie running backs here that are really carving out time for themselves already in their team's game plans. And the New York Jets also won on this past Thursday with the win over New England. Again, only about 35% of leagues have Braelon Allen rostered. And each week, his rate of involvement in that team's offense is just increasing. Last week, he had 55 yards on 11 attempts and, again, 3 receptions for 13 yards. He won't take over for Breece Hall unless there's an injury, but he is really moving up there and doing well. Next week, the Jets face Denver, and the Denver defense has struggled against running backs, and so he could have a good day. You like either of those?
I think I like Braelon. That's the risk that I'd be willing to take, picking up someone off the waiver for running backs. Or we could talk about Cam Akers, running back in Houston. I mean, if you only need one for a couple of weeks to get you by, Akers might be a good option too, since if he's available, because he's owned a little in more leagues at roughly 40% of leagues having him already taken.
I'm surprised at that. I don't know if people just know, their injuries better than they know their rookies, but I feel like both Bucky Irving and Braelon Allen are better picks than Cam Akers. Cam Akers is in because of the injuries to Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. And when one of those comes back, it's going to really eat into Cam Akers' time. Last weekend, he did okay with 9 attempts and 21 yards. He didn't have a great day, but next week he's facing Jacksonville at home. If you're really, really desperate at running back, I'd go to Cam Akers, but I expect that either Mixon or Dameon Pierce will be back next week. One of them, they were both questionable, and then they both got ruled out. So I expect we'll see one of them back. So I really like the other 2, Bucky Irving and Braelon Allen, better than Cam Akers, but they're all possibilities.
It also sounds like they're more likely to be available.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true, which is very surprising. Anyhow, you got some wide receivers you like this week to pick up?
San Francisco had a wide receiver that was new to me, Jauan Jennings, who's owned in about 33% of leagues, had a pretty good day this past Sunday, even in the loss against the Los Angeles Rams. He caught 11 out of 12 targets, 3 touchdowns. So I think I could probably say better than a pretty good day.
Yeah, I think he had a great day
on the
there.
San Francisco team, where not a name that a lot of people know. Yep, pretty great day.
He's been around there for a while. So yeah, he's been around in San Francisco for a while. Always the 3rd or 4th wide receiver, but he's been there. And so he every year it happens. Debo gets hurt, or Brandon Ayuk gets hurt, and he steps into the role. So this week he had an amazing day, but they still lost.
But next week they're against the Patriots. So,
well, that can go either way. Is it the Patriots from weeks 1 and 2, or is it the Patriots that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets carved up last Thursday night? We'll have to see which one shows up.
Who do you like for wide receivers on the waiver?
So I also like Jalen Nailor, the Minnesota Vikings second wide receiver. And I know that Jordan Addison's been out, so Nailor's been able to step up. But I didn't realize that both Nailor and Justin Jefferson have had a touchdown in each of the first 3 games. So I really like that. We're all afraid of any wide receiver that's behind Justin Jefferson, but Nailor seems to be really taking that role. And Sam Darnold has looked good at quarterback. And it seems like, there's enough to go around for both of them. We'll see if Addison eats into his time playing when he returns, but I still don't know when he's going to return. And it's an ankle injury, and those can drag on for a while. the thing that I think that concerns me about Nailor, I like him going forward, but next week he's at Green Bay, and Green Bay, their defense has shut things down pretty well. We're going to see if it's a challenge for the Vikings to make it to 4-0. So another opportunity is presenting itself in Carolina, and this one's coming about because of injuries that occurred on Sunday. So we had Adam Thielen, who was looking great in their win over Vegas and caught a touchdown. But when he caught a touchdown, he immediately went to the ground holding his hamstring. So now he's going to be out a few weeks with that hamstring injury, and we know how those like to linger. And now that we've got Andy Dalton in that offense, the whole offense is taking a step forward and a little bit more dependable and somebody that you may want to pick up. It's a definite upgrade with Dalton in there at quarterback. So next up for the wide receivers is rookie Xavier Leggett, and then last year's rookie Jonathan Mingo, who they should both see extra targets coming out of here. So they may be, I'm sure both of them are going to be available because they're also sitting behind Deontay Johnson on the depth chart. But they're going to see increased timeshare. And like we said, they're playing Cincinnati at home next week. So it may be a good wide receiver option if you're looking for, what the heck, I'm going to see if this guy does something and has a big day kind of play. So both of those would be waiver wire targets as well due to that injury to Adam Thielen. So next, you want to talk tight ends. The tight ends just keep either not performing or just one injury after another to tight ends.
Yeah, who's your suggestion? Because I know I'm feeling it at the tight end position.
So we saw Cole Kmet with the Chicago Bears have a really good day on Sunday in their loss to Indianapolis 16-21. And he's rostered already in about 40% of Yahoo and 26% of ESPN leagues. He had 10 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. And it seems like they're trying to increase his usage, probably as they realize that they shouldn't be throwing down the field, having Caleb Williams just try to toss it deep down the field, that maybe some shorter passes might work a little bit better and get him out of some trouble. So they're starting to involve Kmet a lot more in that offense. That's probably a good one to target. Next week, they're going to face the Rams. And that Rams defense does give up some plays, but you'll probably see that Williams needs to keep his passes a little bit shorter as well. So I like Cole Kmet. I also like Mike Gesicki, but the problem with the Bengals tight end, you basically should have played him the last 2 weeks or tonight. He's playing tonight here on Monday night, and he has Carolina next week. But I'm really worried that when T. Higgins comes back, that his time is going to be downgraded. Now, this could be another situation, though, where they're wanting to keep the passes a little bit shorter because it's difficult to go downfield when you only have Jamar Chase. But T. Higgins coming back could open up that downfield play a little bit more. But Gesicki is definitely one of their favorite dump offs and keeping that passing shorter and helping to get Joe Burrow out of trouble. So I do like him. I don't know if his time's already come and gone. I think he'll have some good weekends, but the tight end position has been super difficult and they haven't been performing this year. We have Kelsey, who hasn't had much production at all, and he went really high in drafts. So we're all looking to kind of pick some up.
And it doesn't help with injuries either, because we had a couple of injuries for tight ends this weekend. With Sam LaPorta for Detroit in the win over Arizona, he had a low ankle sprain and is undergoing more tests to determine severity. So he's going to miss a couple of weeks. Would the second line there be maybe a good option?
It definitely could be. So we saw Brock Wright, their next tight end, step in and have his best day of the season yet. I mean, that's what happens when somebody goes out, then now you get some more time. But he did catch 4 of his 5 targets and had 34 yards in the Lions win over the Cardinals. So it's definitely a good streaming option. If you've got somebody out for a few weeks or you had Sam LaPorta, you should definitely be trying to pick up Brock Wright. Another injury that we had was on the other side of that game, but we lost both tight ends in the Arizona Detroit game, which is kind of amazing. Trey McBride went out with a concussion, and on average, tight ends miss one more week than wide receivers, and wide receivers miss 1.4 weeks. So he's going to be out, a couple games is kind of what we're estimating. So who's up next for the Cardinals? Elijah Higgins filled in on Sunday, and he could be the tight end until McBride returns. They also have a rookie tight end, but he didn't really come into the game and hasn't done anything really productive with them. So I don't know if they'll be going to him or just trying to get through the next couple games with Elijah Higgins, who you looked okay on Sunday.
What about if I'm streaming defenses? What's the defense I'm supposed to be looking for?
Oh, this week's hard. I only found one option, and that was the Tennessee Titans, who are playing the Miami Dolphins. They're at Miami, which I usually don't like, but the games this week aren't that good for streaming. It's one of the few weeks where we don't have like 3 or 4 that we're like, yeah, that could work. So the Titans should be out there available, but if everyone's trying to pick up the Titans, you're going to have a position kind of high and have to go at them before you go after these other players. So yeah, they should only be about rostered in like 3% of your leagues. It's an option because of all of the injuries that the Dolphins have seen at quarterback.
It might also be a good week to plan for a future week instead, maybe 1 week out for your defense.
You could definitely do that, especially with the buys coming up to those teams. You might want to look ahead and see if you can pick somebody up and make do this week. You never know. You might get lucky in a game. We don't know how those are going to play out. I've been super surprised this year. So a few more injuries I want to run through. Those are all of our, top waiver wire pickups, but we'll just go through some of the other injuries where the backups I don't recommend, but I just want to talk through the injuries. And we just mentioned the Miami Dolphins. So Tua went down the week before with the concussion. Skylar Thompson came in Seattle, and he was just getting nailed yesterday in that game. Now he has a painful rib injury. He ended up going out of that game as well. And next up was Tim Boyle. The Dolphins have got to be looking to see who's out there to maybe trade for or try to get a better quarterback situation. I don't know if they could, get Bryce Young, who Carolina Panthers have sitting on their bench and should be looking to get whatever they can out of him, or Jimmy Garoppolo's probably out there. There are few options at quarterback floating around out there, and they probably need to be calling them up at this point because they're activating everybody off the practice squad and apparently can't protect anyone. It's not looking good.
I will say Boyle looked better than Thompson in that game yesterday. Had a couple of completions and got them closer to scoring than I think Thompson did.
Well, that's something, I guess, when you're losing. Yep. It's hard. It's hard for anyone that had Dolphins players because they're all, if you had Tyreek Hill, if you had Jalen Waddle, they're just all devalued now, and you're looking to pick up any of these other guys that we just talked about. Another quarterback injury over the weekend was Justin Herbert, and it looks like he's going to be missing a week or two. He was seen in a walking boot after the game. He aggravated his ankle that was already injured going into the game, and he left in the third quarter with Taylor Heineke replacing him. It's just another downgrade to all the Chargers fantasy players.
And then Sam Darnold, our last quarterback on this injury list, which hopefully is a very, very light injury, no real time or anything, because he left for a play and spent 30 seconds in that blue tent and thankfully came back. I think it's just a knee bruise.
Yeah, knee bruise, no structural damage. It was very funny watching in that game because you could see he didn't want to go in the blue tent. And then he spent 30 seconds in there and comes running out like, I'm going back in that game. You just know that this is the best team that Darnold's ever had. And he's going to play through anything he can play through. especially some minor bruising. So we'll keep an eye on it, but this one looks fine, and hopefully he gets to play. I don't want injury to be what ruins the season for Sam Darnold.
I don't either. As someone who picked him up off the waiver wire after week 1, he's been my quarterback now, and it's been great, and I really don't want to lose him.
That's awesome. Yeah, we were all taking Justin Jefferson. Nobody was really looking at Sam Darnold, and he's been able to really elevate all of them. It's been great. We also have a wide receiver situation in Philadelphia. I think they're out of wide receivers. So Dolphins don't have any quarterbacks and the Eagles don't have any wide receivers. They need to patch together a team or something. So DeVonta Smith ended up leaving in the second half with a concussion. He had a bad hit where he lost his helmet and it was ugly. Then another one of their wide receivers, Britton Covey, was also injured, and he's expected to miss 6 weeks with his shoulder injury. They were already down A.J. Brown, who maybe will be able to come back, but every week A.J. Brown's been ruled out. DeVonta Smith is likely to miss 1.5 weeks is the average for a wide receiver with a concussion. So we'll at least, slot him to be out this week. The Eagles did trade for Jahan Dotson right after training camp. So they have Jahan Dotson. He's now their number 1 wide receiver. And then Paris Campbell was activated off the practice squad. So they are really hurting at wide receiver situation. And I can't say that I really recommend these guys. We did see elevated play from their tight end, who is probably rostered. If he's not, Dallas Goedert is another good tight end to bring into the mix, but he's probably already taken in most leagues. But you can look for him and see if he's out there. He had a great game over the weekend as well.
Not picking Jahan Dotson off the waiver wire?
No, I'm not, nor Paris Campbell. How about you? You got anyone to pick up this week, or are you hurting, or are you okay?
I am luckily okay, and I've had enough people on the bench that have been doing better than I expected, so I need to start moving people around first.
Yeah, I got stuck leaving Derrick Henry on the bench this weekend and all 34 of his points. That was painful, and I lost. You always hate that when you're looking at your bench going, if I just played you, but I played Devon Achane, and he didn't have a good game. I probably should have known that with Skylar Thompson being in there, but I thought they would go to Achane a little bit more than they did. And anyhow, I'll be making some different decisions probably next week.
Well, if you're headed to the waiver wire this week, good luck in getting the players you aim to pick up. We'll see you tomorrow to discuss Thursday night's game, Dallas at the New York Giants, and building lineups for the game.